And what he said is, you are a celebrity. There's product here. Right here.
Okay, we're back. Hello.
Yeah, we're back.
Look at us.
Yeah.
Every week we make some sort of joke of like, oh, I can't believe we made it to this episode.
But this is a big one. 5.
Big number
That's
5.
A big number.
When we hit 10,
big number.
Who knows? Probably go crazy.
I live at number 5 on my road, but I'm not going to say what road. I don't want legions of fans turning up.
Well, the 700,000 was it? Just knocking up.
Yeah. No. I'll keep that 6. But I live at A5.
A5.
In the country.
Guys, if you look hard enough, I'm sure you can find his address.
Yeah.
Please do. Got quite a packed show this week. Some interesting
Loads of
discussions
news.
to have. There is plenty of news, which I'm actually very excited to learn about because I fell off the news wagon this week. But we'll start with our comments, as ever. No emails this week.
No emails. Oh, Pats didn't email.
No, he didn't. He sent me a message on iMessage, but he didn't send an email.
What did he say in the message?
Oh, just normal mate chat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How is he?
Yeah, he's well. He's got over COVID now. He's just chilling, filming Batman again, eating raw pasta. What a guy.
Raw pasta?
Not raw, I mean microwave pasta.
I
His
was
big
going to say
thing.
we could bond over that. I eat a lot of dry pasta.
Oh man, I eat a lot of dry wraps, like without anything in them.
I actually think pasta has more flavour when it's not been cooked. But I also respect that you can't have you have to cook the pasta obviously for the multitude of pasta dishes that are available. I don't know. But I do think
in theory you could have like a bolognese with uncooked pasta if you really wanted to.
In theory, you could. Yeah. I'm not going to argue with that. Yeah. Well, do it.
Yeah.
Let me know next
week. So let's go through our comments.
If we get that far.
Yeah. I mean, episode 5 is a big step anyway. Okay, we'll start with the first one. Winton Hinton, he's back. Subscribe to him, by the way.
Winton Hinton,
everyone goes.
A return listener.
He said, this kind of slaps NGL, not going to lie. Also, Joker is the film to review next. Mr. Winton, I'm very sorry, but Joker is not our review today, but I'll talk about it at some point.
We will be talking about other films set in the Gotham universe.
You might be pleasantly surprised, actually, at what you get. Second comment, Joe. He's back for another week. In reference to our Boss Baby question. He said, I don't think it's essential to understand the Boss Baby lore entering the episode. I'm sure you can find any answers about the storyline on the Boss Baby Reddit should you need it.
Okay. I'll go on that particular
The Boss Baby Reddit is somewhere I really need to be.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm missing out. We will do that. I think it would be quite fun if we reviewed that.
I'm up for the Boss Baby.
Next week, let's talk Boss Baby.
Let's talk Boss Baby.
Okay, our last comment from Dr. Ginge. This is a big one, our biggest ever. So I'll
in terms of words, yeah.
In terms of sheer word count.
And characters.
Yeah, and characters, spaces, lines, the whole lot. So,
yeah.
In the true lore of Middle-earth, Gimli, son of Gloin, actually enjoyed being tossed by the members of the Fellowship of the Ring. Did you know that?
No.
No, I didn't know
I've read like maybe half of Two Towers, so I've read probably, I guess, on the whole, half of the Lord of the Rings. But I don't remember Gimli enjoying being thrown. Oh, sorry, Gimli, son of Gloin.
Gimli, son of Gloin. Right. Dr. Ginge goes on. This was forbidden to be included in the motion pictures by the estate of J.R.R. Tolkien due to fears of his character not representing the masculine heartthrob he embodied within the books. Yet Peter Jackson pushed for its inclusion. As a result, a compromise was made that manifested within Gimli's dialogue during the scene at the side of the gate of Helm's Deep.
I cannot jump the distance. You'll have to toss me.
The distance represents...
That's in the comment.
Yeah, that's in the comment. That wasn't just a freestyle from Wally. The distance represents the length at which Gimli went to please the Fellowship to warrant a toss, and cannot represent Peter Jackson's frustrations in not being able to fully include Gimli's character's true adoration of being tossed. Now, This is news to me. Dr. Ginge.
This is very interesting. Dr. James, thank you for your comment.
Thank you.
I think it's going to kickstart a real discussion.
I think the Gimli tossing community is really going to love this one.
First and foremost, I'd like to say that moment in the Two Towers when Aragorn tosses Gimli is a great moment. And I think the best part is that I feel, in the film at least, I don't really know what Dr. Ginger's talking about, if I'm being frank. In the film, Gimli, obviously he famously says in The Fellowship of the Ring, when they're being chased by the Balrog, no one tosses a dwarf, or something along those lines. And then it's sort of a funny progression in the next film when he says, "You'll have to toss me." Like, there is no choice. And I think that's a brilliant moment in the film.
Do you know what? I think they should do a Gimli spin-off film where we really get to the bottom of whether Gimli, Son of Gloin, actually does like being tossed, or if he just feels like he should do it to help the rest of the Fellowship.
A screwball comedy about how much he loves being tossed.
Ooh, I'd enjoy that. Maybe he gets shot out of cannons to start with and builds his way up. He's got his little axe.
Well, obviously, in The Hobbit, the dwarves, they love riding around in the barrels, don't they?
Do they?
Have you not seen that?
I've seen the first Hobbit, that's it. It might be the first one.
Have you read the book?
No. I did study it in year 5. We had to do sewing, a sewing like picture of Gandalf. Mine wasn't very good, but that's beside the point.
Which one?
Gandalf. There's only one Gandalf.
Which Gandalf? No, there's two.
Gandalf the White.
Gandalf the Grey?
No, Gandalf the Grey. That's what I meant.
Gandalf the White. Well, there's two.
Well, it was the Hobbit, so it had to be Gandalf the Grey.
Oh, God, of course! How can I be so stupid?
You really need to brush up on your Tolkien.
Did you like the Tolkien film with Nicholas Hoult?
I've yet to see it, and I'll be honest,
I don't really care.
It's not up there on my priorities.
Huge news.
Go on.
Today, when you listen to this, it won't be today. So for those listening, it'll be yesterday, or 2 days ago, or 3 days ago, or when this podcast has really taken off. A few years
down the line,
in the past,
when the hardcores are checking out the back catalogue.
Yeah, they're like, these guys are great. Well, whenever it is, today when we're recording day is International Podcast Day, which is what we're doing. We're making a podcast and we're putting it out there.
Do you know what I've got to celebrate?
What's that?
I've got a nice cold can of Coca-Cola Energy high caffeine vitamin drink.
No way!
Let's have a...
Unreal.
Oh, it doesn't smell very nice.
Did you open it?
Yeah, I opened it, but I might just leave it for a bit. Because...
Oh, yeah, well...
I've smelled
I'll open another Stella just for the occasion.
I've had a sip.
Is it good?
It's like cherry flavour. It's called guarana extract. I don't know what that is, but it tastes like International Podcast Day.
Right, where's the mic? Oh, there it was. There we go.
Got a load.
Cheers.
Cheers.
To podcasters around the world. What a day.
Rejoice.
Oh, wow. I feel like I can enjoy this day. It's like my second birthday.
Yeah, it really is. This is better than Christmas for me. It's a day where guys like us, we get remembered.
Yeah.
We're in the annals of history for one day.
Yeah. We get the what's the word? Credit. I'll go with credit.
Yeah.
We get the credit we deserve.
We do. We're cranking this out. Today, people
So, yeah,
see.
Congratulations all podcasters. Keep podcasting.
Every single podcast out there.
I'm just going to give a quick shout out to my favourite podcasters.
Oh, yeah?
Bill Burr with the Monday Morning Podcast. Who else have we got? The Last of Us podcast was great. I haven't actually finished it yet. Sorry, Neil.
Neil.
Yeah, if you're listening, Neil, I can apologise to you in a response to the email you sent me.
Yeah, in writing, wasn't me.
Who else? Mark Kermode is technically a radio show, but it's in podcast form, so he can have a shout out as well.
I thought you were going to say us when you said I want to shout out my two favourite podcasters. I thought that was going to be a nice little pat on the back type thing.
No. I wouldn't be that obtuse.
Oh man! But happy International Podcast Day, everyone!
Happy International Podcast Day. Oh, the
Huge
champagne is open here.
I'm having a wild party tonight. Everyone's going crazy for International. Just no music, just podcasts in the background. It's going to be popping off. Last thing before the news. There's not really much to say here. London Film Festival starts next week. Well, not even that long now. Less than a week. I'm buzzing. I'll be there with my notepad every morning. Not really going anywhere. Ollie, I'm still working on that. I'm going to see what I can do.
I might be allowed in.
But next episode and the episode after, we'll probably be talking about some of the stuff hopefully we've both seen. If not, I'll just mention what I've seen, which probably won't be quite as fun for you, but what can we do?
It's fine. I'll just watch loads of films and then just talk about them.
So that's next week's. Again, not really a lot I can say on that 'cause I don't actually have my login yet. That comes tomorrow.
Ooh.
However, that's going to be a lot of fun. So,
Surely I can use your login as well.
yeah, in theory.
In theory, okay.
I don't see why not.
We shall see.
We shall. But first, let's get into the news.
It's the news. Sorry, I know we have a jingle, but I did my own.
I enjoyed it. We'll add that in. Okay. Now, when I was saying the news, like picking the things this week, there was only one topic that mattered. That mattered. So you're going to have to take the lead on the rest. But I'll start with the first one, and this is huge news.
It's big news.
Close personal friend of the podcast, Joaquin Phoenix.
Very close and personal friends.
Joaquin Phoenix and Rooney Mara have had a nice little kid.
Oh. Celebrate good times, come on!
God, I'm happy for them. Joaquin.
Yeah, that is a day to celebrate.
And what did they name the child, Ollie?
Well, the name is touching. It's beautiful.
It is.
In honour of Joaquin's older brother, River, who tragically died at the tender age of young. I can't remember how young he was. He was very young, and he was taken from us far too early. He was a rising talent in Hollywood at the time. River Phoenix. So the baby is called River Phoenix.
It's beautiful.
Well, unless it's double-barreled, which I don't think it is.
We'll have to wait and see.
That? Mara Phoenix?
Phoenix Mara.
Oh, no, Phoenix Mara, yeah.
That could work.
So congratulations. Congratulations, Kate Mara, on your new nephew.
Yeah, congratulations, Kate. Good work. Joaquin's had the best 12 months. Joaquin, guy's gone crazy.
Yeah, amazing. I'm so happy for the pair of them.
Lots of love.
Anyone who knows me will know they're two of my favourite actors. The pair of them, and now they have a child, which will become the indie darling of the 2050s.
Oh,
and
I can't wait for that.
I can't wait. It's going to be amazing.
It's true as well. Phoenix, it is true.
Reborn.
Oh, I can't wait. I don't want to put
maybe
pressure on the kid.
Maybe a Stand By Me remake.
Maybe.
No, that'd be a bit vulgar.
It might be a bit insensitive. But that's lovely. Very happy for that.
Yeah, that's huge news.
That's our top story this week. Do you want to take the lead for the rest?
So yes.
Woo!
I actually have been, looking at the news this week.
Pretty clued up.
So basically, what we've got is WandaVision. Is it coming out on Friday the 27th?
I don't know. Is it?
It was kind of leaked. So we don't know if this is properly true, but we believe it's debuting in November the 27th.
Wow, that's
it was far. Listed. It was. I think it was in the programming code.
Did you hack in and see?
I believe the Super Sleuths at Murphy's Multiverse
they
hacked into the Disney Plus code, and it's November the 27th.
That's not far
we will
away.
be able to see Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen gracing our screens in WandaVision on 27th of November, which is exciting if you want to watch that. Yeah. I might watch it.
I think I will. Also, the exciting thing is that's like a week or two after Mandalorian Season 2 finishes. So after a summer where Disney Plus hasn't been cranking out much.
They're keeping the punches coming. Bam, bam, bam.
2 shots.
Sorry.
Like 2 nerd shots. There's more Disney news, is there not?
Is there not? There is more. What's it called? Disney news.
The devil works hard, but Disney works harder.
In a moment.
Ooh.
Are we ready?
Born ready.
This is a bit of an odd one in that I don't think anyone really expected this. Not only are they making a Lion King sequel,
didn't expect,
which won't be a remake of the direct-to-DVD sequel Lion King 2: Simba's Pride.
I quite like that.
Oh, really? It is a different beast, so to speak, that will explore the mythology of the characters, including Mufasa's origin story. It's set on the African plain with a continuation of the tradition of music. So I imagine it'll be what fans have come to expect from I guess it's a franchise.
Yeah, it's the fifth one.
But the big news that's been announced is that Barry Jenkins, the director of Moonlight, and If Beale Street Could Talk, is directing Lion King 2, which... Did you see that coming?
I saw it yesterday, and I sent it to my friend and said, WTF. That was my quote. It makes it. There's nothing that would ever suggest this was to be expected. As you say, no one even thought there was a Lion King 2 on the way. I mean, it probably was obvious it would, because it made bags, but still. Anything Barry Jenkins does has my interest. And I think as long as he's given...
a fascinating filmmaker.
He's brilliant. If he's given enough artistic control, this could be really good. Because the first one was criticised for not really doing much with the property, the animation being a bit jarring. I think if anyone... If Disney are bringing in an Oscar-winning director, they're going to give him enough artistic license to do exactly what he wants. And I'm genuinely
side
so
note,
excited.
he didn't win the Oscar for directing.
No. He just won the Best Picture. He won Best Picture as well.
Sorry?
He won Best Picture.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He won as a producer for Best Picture.
Oh, okay. Yeah. He is a director that has won an Oscar. So not an Oscar-winning director, per se.
Sorry.
We got our fact check. But that's very exciting.
That's more news.
The news just keeps coming.
Thank you. It is very exciting. Now, this news, I put this news in the document so we could talk about it in the show, in this episode. But since I've put it in, more detailed news has sort of come to light, and that is Borat 2, the sequel to Borat: Cultural Learnings of America for Make Benefit Glorious Nation of Kazakhstan. Mm-hmm. We're getting a sequel. It's been made in secret by Sacha Baron Cohen and, Co. And the title is Borat: Gift of Pornographic Monkey to Vice Premier Michael, but spelt wrong, Pence.
Spelt wrong?
To make... not like Michael Pence. It's Mike Pence, but I presume his name's Michael. Michael Pence to make benefit recently diminished nation of Kazakhstan. And it's being reported that Amazon have bought the streaming rights to this sequel. Yeah. And a release is expected before the upcoming American election in November.
I heard it was going to be on the eve of Election Day.
Yeah. And I read something earlier that there's going to be a spotlight on Donald Trump's relationship with Jeffrey Epstein.
Really?
Which is very interesting.
Blimey.
And if anyone can take that sort of topic on, it's Sacha Baron Cohen.
I saw something that said there were 2 or 3 occasions in filming where he had to wear bullet vests. Because that's the level he went to. Yeah,
I mean, Sacha Baron Cohen has humongous balls.
There is no fear from him whatsoever.
Well, it's a podcast, but if you could see me right now, I've got my hands stretched out.
He does.
And each hand is representing one of his balls. So that's sort of
the guy
my hand
laughs in the face of danger.
Yeah. And then we laugh at that. He's funny.
He is a funny guy.
He's done a few duds.
The Dictator.
Grimsby wasn't great.
I never watched Grimsby. Did you watch? Of course, you watch Who Is America. Would you rather this or Who Is America Season 2?
Well, it depends. I think if Borat 2 is as good as the first one, or almost as good as the first one, then absolutely Borat, because Borat is one of the funniest films ever made.
I do like Borat.
But Who Is America at this time could have been quite...
It could have hit the spot.
Yeah, a bit of a zeitgeist.
Yeah.
But I imagine he's sort of gone for that sort of idea through the character of Borat.
Yeah, which I'm absolutely up for.
So it should be good. It should be great. If it's released on the eve of election, then I applaud Sacha Baron Cohen.
I cannot wait for this.
And it should be fucking really good. So there is more news. There's always more news. Now this is based on a Variety report. So if this doesn't turn out to be true, take your issue up with them, not
Please
me.
don't blame us.
But there are reports that Samuel L. Jackson will be returning to star as Nick Fury in a TV show, written Well, I presumes the screen. What's it called? The screen. What's it?
Screenwriter?
Showrunner.
Oh, showrunner.
I was confusing screenwriter and showrunner there.
Oh no.
The showrunner is apparently going to be Kyle Bradstreet, who is a TV writer and producer, primarily known for Mr. Robot, which is a fantastic show. And there's not too much information about it, but the last we saw from the character was in Spider-Man Far From Home. So, yeah, that's all there is. It's a Disney Plus show, obviously. Samuel L. Jackson.
I don't really know where it's going to go. I don't think he's quite interesting enough a character to do it alone, but we'll see, I guess. They seem to be cranking out a load of these Marvel shows. Yeah,
I feel like they've listened to the criticism of Disney Plus, and they're really trying to rectify it, and they're just pumping money. I mean, they've got the money. Let's be honest, it's fucking Disney.
It's Disney.
And then my final news,
the last ever bit of news,
is we have, in a similar vein to the recent Oscar diversity changes, BAFTA has taken steps to, encourage diversity.
Good on them.
After last year's, well, I guess this year's, but earlier in the year, all white and largely male, apart from the female actress categories, all male shortlists.
Yeah.
So exactly what this means is, this article doesn't really make it that clear what the changes are, but each category, initial votes will create a long list. Members will then have to watch all the long list titles before they can vote in the next round, which determines the nominees. The nominees then go to a final vote, and again, voters will have to watch all the films via an online portal if they want to say. So it encourages diversity sort of loosely, I think, in the sense that time-strapped voters might otherwise sort of focus on just the most hyped titles, and they might just make a vote based on what they've seen. I do that in votes.
You vote for what's familiar to you.
Exactly. So if by forcing the members to vote after they've seen all the nominees, will hopefully do some good.
I think so. That's a very welcome change, because this year's was shambles.
But that's just one of the changes. For Best Director, there will be a 20-person long list, of which half the spots will go to women, which is good. But the only thing I worry about is that I think the awards are sort of moving further ahead than the actual film industry itself.
But hopefully this will have a trickle effect.
Yeah, and I'm sure it will. But as it stands, half of movies aren't being made by women. Which hopefully these sort of changes will change that, because let's be honest, movies are only made for awards
and money.
Oh yeah,
the two big drivers. They're not made for us.
Another major change is that a studio will only be allowed to nominate an actor for a lead or supporting award, not both categories, as previously allowed. Which, to be honest, I'm surprised that was previously allowed.
So, nominating the same character for both?
It means that studios who actually nominate
who put them forward.
The actors, they can't.
Okay, that makes sense, to be fair.
But for example, Brad Pitt won last year for supporting actor, and though he was fantastic, he wasn't a supporting actor.
He was a lead.
He was co-lead with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
And it robbed other actors who were supporting.
It was a bit cheeky. Quincy.
Although, having said that, I was very happy Brad Pitt won an acting Oscar. I love that guy.
The only thing... Maybe one day we should do an episode on Tarantino, because the only thing about that film that still stands out to me is the scenes with him.
Brad Pitt he's so good in that film. So good. It is absolutely effortless.
It was an alright film. He's good.
Wait, what?
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Why did you say you like it then?
I liked him in it, but the rest of it didn't do much for me. I liked the era... and the set designs and stuff, but plot-wise, it was not his best. It
was pure self-indulgent, but I fucking enjoyable for the people, I think.
It was very self-indulgent, but he's Quentin Tarantino. Guy does what he wants. He's getting his bag. Okay. Well, that's the news.
It's the news.
A lot of ground covered there.
Absolutely.
Thank you for leading the news this week. You've done me a solid.
Thank you.
now,
for letting me.
you're welcome. We could keep that up. It's quite nice going in not knowing much.
Well, you know,
We'll see.
I'm pretty busy. I have a pretty busy schedule.
Yeah, that was a good point. I'm not, so I'm sure I can find the time. Okay, let's get into our main section.
Oh yeah.
Main. Ooh.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Vocals. We're going a bit Nolan mad this week, aren't we, Ollie?
A bit what?
A bit Nolan mad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why I laugh like that, so
It was like a Joker laugh.
I could play Joker, let's be honest.
Yeah, you'd be a good Joker.
I'd be better than Jack Letter.
Oh, yeah. I think anyone could. We both seen Tenet this week.
We have.
We've got a review. We're going to talk about that. And then, once we've shot the shit about Tenet, we're going to rank Christopher Nolan's.
In ranking.
We're going to tell you exactly what number it is. Because everyone wants to know.
Where does it rank? Because people care about what we think about that.
They do.
Think.
Oh, it's obvious. They must do.
Got 700,000 ardent fans.
You don't get those kind of numbers without really gripping opinions.
No.
And we're about to deliver them. So let's talk Tenet. We'll start non-spoilers like we did with Phineas and Ferb, and then we'll dive into spoilers. Just off the bat, what was your first impression having seen the film walking out of cinemas?
Off the bat, quite simply, incredible filmmaking. That's what I'll say.
Okay.
What about you?
Well, I see what you mean by saying filmmaking rather than film. Because I'm inclined to. It felt like... My worry going in was that it just felt like Christopher Nolan was resting on his laurels a bit, doing something
You think?
in the vein of what he's done before. And although it is very, very, very well executed, and the action is fantastic, the cast is brilliant, I do think it's self-indulgent.
You think it's self-indulgent?
To a degree. I don't want to get too much into what I think of his films overall. But if you look at something like The Dark Knight, and I know it's not a good example because it's my favourite film. I know that's not a good example.
Right.
But that plot is layered and complex to the extent where you first watch you get it, and second watch you get more, third watch you unpack the layers, but it never feels like an incoherent experience the first time around.
But have you seen Tenet more than once?
No. But I did. When I watched Tenet and came out to the cinema, I needed to go home and fill a few gaps where it was either not explained particularly well because the audio is not great in the film.
That, I would say, that for me, that is my biggest criticism. Is
really jarring.
And it is something sort of quite trivial in the sense that you quite simply often you cannot hear what they're saying. And I get that they're probably trying to go for, everything that are going on around them, around the characters is sort of insane and loud and in your face. But a film, I think if it had a simple plot,
yeah,
it wouldn't be a problem. But I think because the plot is so sort of complex and you need to listen to every line.
Every line. That's the thing.
And you miss a lot of the lines because you can't hear what they're saying.
And that's exactly what Mark Kermode said. He said it's a film where you cannot afford to miss a single line because it moves so quickly. And that's completely true. The thing with Nolan is he's not the kind of director that holds your hand. Which I like.
I think he
I'd rather that
he expects a lot from his audience.
He doesn't expect you to sit there with your brain off, which is fair enough. And if you're looking for that sort of popular action, something where you actually need to have your brain switched on more than you're Fast and Furious, there's not many better than him really to go to. If you want something not intellectual, but a bit more working on the higher gears. And it works in his favour when it pulls off, but if it's not executed perfectly, it does feel a little bit... Well, my kind of take as I left was I think it was confusing for the sake of being confusing at times.
I'm going to say I do disagree with that.
Okay. What did you think of the cast?
What do I think of the cast?
Oh, boy.
I mean, there wasn't an actor in there that didn't hit the mark.
Well, do you know what? When I was watching it, I can't remember the name of the guy. The arms dealer.
Andre Sater.
Yes, I had no idea that was Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah, Kenneth Branagh is very... I mean, he's kind of... In a way, he's sort of cliche, but in a way, he's also just completely... He's really scary. He's really good in it.
He hams it up.
And it's not... And
he is menacing.
It's slightly hammy, but I think for the most part, it really works very well.
Yeah.
Kenneth Branagh, really good. Elizabeth Debicki, fantastic.
Really
Robert Pattinson was arguably the best in the film.
The highlight of the film for me. And I know we have a bias.
He's so good. He's so good in that film.
He is. Charming, snarky.
Yeah. I mean, it's sort of... I don't know what to say. Robert Pattinson was brilliant in that film, but so was John David Washington.
John David Washington was so good. And a big criticism, again, is his character wasn't particularly fleshed out, which we'll get into. I do think that was kind of the point. I
think that is true to an extent, but... And maybe, you'd like to see a bit more, but then I do think it's the kind of film where you don't really need to see more.
It's the kind of thing, like, it reminds me so much of Inception in its execution. And
really?
if you look back at Cobb, is his name in Inception? Cobb's lot more...
Don Cobb.
A lot more developed than the protagonist here.
Yeah, but I think Inception was a far more personal story.
Yeah, this obviously isn't going for that. It goes for this big... grandiose World War III preventing heist, really, is what the film is.
Yeah, and then the fact that John David Washington's character is literally called the protagonist.
Yeah, I want to talk about that.
Exemplifies that.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter who he is, but then I think... I don't want to get into spoiler territory yet.
We'll move on in a minute. The one thing with Christopher Nolan, so much of his stuff focuses on the concept of time. And I know really in this film, they try and say, it's not time that's being manipulated. It's not time travel per se. It's manipulation of like particles and velocity, whatever. But let's be real. It's basically time travel.
Yeah, it's Christopher Nolan's time travel.
Yeah, and I enjoyed it, and I did like the film. I thought it was a good film. But I'd like to see someone like him do something a bit differently. Because this is all about time. Dunkirk, one before, time was the whole structure of the film.
Yeah.
Interstellar, there was a lot about time, and arguably that was one of his best. The way he executed it in that film, I really liked. We'll talk about that, obviously.
Yeah.
Dark Knight Rises, again, not so much. The Batman films, not hugely.
Inception, time is the key. And then Memento as well.
It would just be nice for someone who's got so much. I don't think there's a director working in Hollywood on his level at the moment in terms of sway and popularity. There's a reason they picked his film to be the one where cinemas reopen. And I just think if you're this once in a generation director, which I do agree he is one of the best working. I absolutely agree. I just like to see him shake it up a bit.
Shake it up, really.
We've seen him do quippy, snappy action plenty now, and it's good. I still enjoy it, but for someone of his talent, he could easily pull off something completely different. No one thought he could go and make a superhero film, and then he made some of the biggest and best ones there are. He made a space film that was great. He made a war film that was pretty good.
Pretty good. Sorry,
we'll get into it. We'll get into it. I don't know. I just think maybe if I was Christopher Nolan, he's a lot more intelligent than me, so he probably doesn't run out of ideas. But
I remember when the name was announced for Christopher Nolan's next film, it was called Tenet.
Yeah,
and it was literally just. I think it was literally just described as an event film. That was the description given to it.
You're right.
And then sort of trailers come out, and it's sort of it's sort of about time. And I do remember thinking, of course it's about time. It's Christopher Nolan. He was obviously going to do that at some point.
Yeah.
And I think in that sense it is very Christopher Nolan.
It is very Christopher Nolan. That opening scene is very Christopher Nolan.
Oh, the opening scene is so Christopher Nolan, but it's so fucking good.
It is good. I have a gripe about it that I'll get into later, but it is a very good.
But I think I would like to clarify. I really really enjoyed this film. I thought it wasn't as sort of... one of the major gripes people have had is the sort of emotionless nature. And I completely get that, and to some extent I do agree.
I think for a film that tries to have massive stakes, it doesn't communicate those stakes particularly well.
Yeah, and I think the personal sort of side of the story is sort of tried to be is trying. What am I trying to say? Christopher Nolan is trying to put the personal aspect of the film through Elizabeth Debicki's character. I think primarily.
Yeah. And it's work. It's a good. It's a good.
And it does work. I think it does work. In that whole story was interesting, and it all played into the final. The final act.
Yeah.
And I think it did work. And I think people struggle because we don't know anything about John David Washington's character, but
and that's obviously purposeful from Nolan. But
and I think you find out towards the end why.
Yeah, I want to talk about that.
So for those that haven't seen it, what would you rate it before we dive into spoilers?
I gave it 3.5 stars because
3.5.
The thing I'll say about Christopher Nolan on my ranking, that is good. It's not great, but it's good. And to be fair, there's if I rewatched it, I couldn't rule out bumping it up because it is the thing with his films they are all very rewarding. You come out of that, and it is an event. It encourages thought. It encourages rewatches, and he does something no other action directors do, but mainly because he's got the budget and the creative freedom to do so. But he does stuff that no one else does and can do right now, and for that reason, it's an enjoyable film, even if you ignore the plot, just because of the scale of the set pieces and the inventiveness of the action and the kind of cast he can pull together, the performances he can get.
Yeah, and I do think for that reason, I can't see him making a bad film because I think
I can't.
For those reasons, it will always be spectacular.
There will always be grandeur and hype around something he does.
Yeah, there'll always be jaw-dropping moments in a Christopher Nolan film.
There will. You watch something and don't think, oh, you can't top that, and then he does something completely different.
Yeah.
No, I enjoyed the film.
I'd give it 4.
4. Okay, that's fair. I think that's where it's generally the 3.5 to 4 region. I'll look on Letterboxd. Yeah, that's generally where it's sat at the moment. So I think we're with the crowd on that one. And I did enjoy it. But let's get into spoilers. So this is the formal spoiler warning. If you haven't seen the film,
if you haven't seen Tenet,
you might want to dip.
Bugger off.
Come back when we rate the films.
Carry on listening later.
Yeah, just skip through, please. Don't leave.
Please.
So, when I came out of the film, when I got in, the two things that I didn't understand and wanted to look up.
Right.
They were all to do with the finale, that final half an hour, which I also felt the film was a bit clunkily paced.
Really?
I thought... the one thing before I get into it, I listened to a review that night, and it's a good. I don't 100% agree, but it's a decent point, insofar as if you exclude that opening heist scene in the opera house, the whole film plays as a mirror image, which is one of the best parts of it when they're going back in time. That fight where they're going back post the plane crash. And the protagonist, and Robert Pattinson's character bumps into the protagonist travelling back in time was fantastic.
Yeah.
And I've never seen an action scene like that. It was great. I don't know how they choreographed it. It was fantastic.
I literally don't know how they did that.
I would love to know how. Because that was phenomenal.
That when you see them sort of going back into I think it's called Freeport.
Yeah.
That big, whatever.
Fridge things.
Yeah. And then you see what John David Washington's character is wearing. And then it clicked in my head. I was like, oh shit, he's about to fight himself.
Yeah.
That was a huge moment. And I think a lot of what the film does really well is just purely stems from that sort of notion of, it's like, oh, I'm an idiot. How did I not spot this earlier? How did I not realise? Because when they go back in time because sorry. They go back in time because Elizabeth Debicki's character, and this is me literally asking because I haven't watched like a whole explained video because I would quite like to see it again.
Yeah.
But they go back in time initially because Elizabeth Debicki's been shot by an inverted bullet.
Yeah.
So they go back to and going back in time is the only way to sort of help her.
But also, I thought it was also because they know Kenneth Branagh's character now has the final part of the mechanism, whatever, and they want to see where that went. Because you remember the protagonist on the highway gives it to him.
Yeah.
And there's like, oh shit, I don't know where it's gone. I think it was both of those reasons.
The thing is, you are right. There are things that you do miss.
There are. I'm the one thing that's a bit that is slightly regretful is the whole time watching it, I was thinking, okay, it's obviously at some point either going to go into the past or the future because they talk so much about this civilization from the future, and I get he didn't want to show it to us because that's fair enough. That's a lot of pressure to design this futuristic world. Fair enough. But the threat of this World War III, this nuclear Armageddon, isn't very well constructed to me. And as we were saying in non-spoilers, the stakes only feel high because you're told they are rather than because you actually feel like they are. That's
probably a fair criticism, to be fair.
And I kind of get he's pastiching Bond, whatever. And it does work.
I read a review about the film that said he takes the best elements of Bond and then sort of Nolanizes them.
Yeah, it does feel
I completely agree with that, and I think that's really effective. And I loved John David Washington was so good in this film. I was like, I don't even care. I don't care if Bond's American. He's that good.
He was really good. Every step of the way.
John David Washington is he's so magnetic. He's so likable.
He's so likable. And the way his performance changed, that's kind of where my other thing comes in. Of the thing I had to look up was, he says at the end when he's in the car with that woman, that he's the architect of it all. And I know it's time travel and you shouldn't overthink it because then it just gets stuck in a paradox, but I still don't really get that, to be honest.
He's in charge of Tenet.
How? Because he previously discovered Tenet. Because
the Tenet that he sees, they're saying, you're now part of Tenet or whatever.
Yeah.
They're going back in time.
They didn't stay in the present.
No, so that at the end, when thing is, there's stuff that I think this does prove a point in the sense that you are not getting stuff that I I think got, and then there's loads of stuff that you got that completely passed over my head. But I think because Robert Pattinson says at the end, you hired me.
Yes.
But you in the future when you're older, and that's because Robert Pattinson is going back in time for the most part.
Yeah.
Because he gets sort of... That was one of the things I didn't quite get, how they just randomly... They'd be going back in time and then they reinvert themselves... Or they uninvert themselves.
Yeah, why didn't any of the goons do that from the future? Because then they wouldn't have had to wear gas masks or whatever it was. I don't know, that's what they say with... They say in the film, it's time travel, don't think about it too much. And I know I am exactly thinking about it too much, but that was meant to be the big... it wasn't meant to be the big reveal. But when he says, I'm the architect of Tenet, I'm still not... I think I need to rewatch it to totally get the progression of that character. Though I will say that revelation about Rob Pattinson's character was really good. I didn't see it coming.
And that's what I was going to say. I think that is the sort of emotional aspect of the main character, of the protagonist.
Yeah. That's the first time we really see him emote when he realises.
And I went and saw it with a mate, and he'd already seen it, but he said he got a bit choked up at that bit the second time he watched it.
Yeah, because the hindsight.
Because with hindsight, you see that throughout this film, it's Robert Pattinson's sort of goodbye to this protagonist that he's known for a long time.
That's a really good point, actually. It definitely seems like the kind of thing that on rewatches you'll get more of.
Yeah, absolutely.
and have a more rewarding time. Not that I didn't find it unrewarding.
But, no, not unrewarding. But I would like to say the car chase,
Yeah.
the fight with himself,
Yeah.
and the temporal pincer movement at the end.
Which one's that? When
Where
they're
they're
dropping the thing. The guy's about to drop the thing.
Wait, drop what thing?
The, detonator.
When Robert Pattinson shoots the guy, but he doesn't realise that it's Robert Pattinson until the end, because of the bag.
Oh, I didn't get that. I got the person with the bag was him, but I didn't realise where that gunshot had come from.
Yeah, no, I only realised that because when I actually watched it, I was like, "What? What just happened?" I literally didn't know what had just happened.
No.
But then my mate who'd seen it before said,
"Okay, that does
because
make sense."
when I was in my head thinking, "What just happened?" I don't get it. There was a shot of his backpack, and it was the guy from the start. Did you get that?
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah, okay. Because I got that, but then I must have zoned out.
Okay, so my interpretation then is this temporal pincer is where the Robert Pattinson going one way in time intersects with the Robert Pattinson going the other way in time, and he has to get rid of the other one.
What? No.
Then what's the temporal?
Maybe. Fuck you, Chris. No, I literally don't know.
Chris, bro.
No. The temporal pincer movement was you've got red team going.
Oh, okay, yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, no, that's what I was talking about.
That was cool. That felt the closest to an epic.
And you've got explosions going back into the ground.
Yeah.
And then you've got that film was just that whole scene was nuts.
It was great. There's not been an action scene like that.
It. And there's so many good set pieces. I liked the whole abuse sort of arc we got with Kenneth Branagh and Elizabeth Debicki.
I thought it was handled quite well.
It was handled well, and it did, like I said earlier, it did give it a sort of an emotional weight.
No, you are right, and it was
the only sort of emotion in the whole film, really.
Yeah, until the end, pretty much.
I'm trying to think what else. What haven't we discussed?
I tell you what, the first little heist that the protagonist and Robert Pattinson pull off, where they break into that house, that tower.
Oh yeah.
I liked that, but it felt that first act felt a little bit a little rudimentary. In the protagonist would meet someone who'd reveal something, then he has to go meet someone else to reveal something else, until they get to the arms dealer and his wife. And at that point, I didn't think they'd be in. When it starts, there was that long while where they were talking about art and getting a painting. It felt a little bit like, okay, you could dumb this down a bit if you really wanted to, and you get your point across. I think maybe that first act could have been a bit more polished as an introduction. Because it does... Yeah. What's the word? It goes to and fro for ages until you find out the film's rhythm. And then when it hits that rhythm, it works.
Yeah.
But that's quite a minor gripe anyway. I sound like I really didn't like it, but I did enjoy it. I do want to clarify that. I did enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I really did love it. I came out of it thinking, I don't really fully understand what I just watched, but I know that I enjoyed pretty much all of it.
Yeah.
And I think that is... I feel like that's what he's... I don't think with this film he was trying to make, a game-changing film. I think he was trying to make... I feel like this is one of his more pure blockbuster films.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think in that sense it completely succeeds because it's enthralling. I loved it.
It was.
I'd go watch it. I'd go watch it again. In fact, I want to go watch it again. I've said that actually.
Yeah, as do I. And in terms of big blockbusters, that seems like it's pretty much it we're going to get for the rest of the year.
Yeah, so,
no, we're really not. I just look forward to seeing what it does next now. He's done this so many times now, and he's got his formula down. Now it's to prove you're one of the best. Go out there and do something completely different.
Read to him.
But that's Tenet.
That is Tenet.
Anything else you want to mention, or are you ready to rank?
I think I'm ready to rank.
You've seen 9, am I right?
I have seen 9.
So, do you want to take the lead with your number 9, and then because I've only seen 8?
Okay, yeah, you are right. My number 9 is, I watched this on Saturday night for, I think it was the third time I'd seen it. And this time I still didn't think it pulled off what it was trying to do at all. Interstellar is 9.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And that, I think that is kind of a testament to Christopher Nolan's talent. Interstellar is a good film. I'd give it 3 stars, maybe. I think there's a lot of really good stuff in Interstellar, but there's also a lot of stuff that really falls flat. The ending, I'm in the crowd that just think it's nonsense.
It doesn't fit with what he usually does.
I still don't get it. I think it's really silly. What else is there? I also think for a while, since I first saw it, I thought Interstellar would serve better as a miniseries. I think there's a lot of really interesting ideas in there that just don't.
They don't.
Work.
It doesn't quite.
For example, Cooper's son, Tom, the Timothée Chalamet and Casey Affleck character, is hugely undeveloped.
Yeah, ignored.
And I think it's a really interesting character because we sort of see 5 minutes of Casey Affleck like being very stubborn about staying on the farm.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really interesting idea that they just haven't delved into at all.
And it's not a short film anyway.
No, exactly. And I think they should have, to keep it grounded on Earth with Matthew McConaughey up in space would have been spectacular. And to see the two stories sort of side by side far more would have worked. But I think I've seen a thing where Mirth is mentioned like 99 times, Tom's mentioned like 15. And I think that character is really undeveloped. There's a lot of the whole speech by Anne Hathaway after
about the power of love.
Oh, yeah, that is really, it's not good for me at least. So yeah, Interstellar is 9th out of the 9 films I've seen. And just to clarify, the films I haven't seen are The Following, or just Following, and Insomnia.
Mine are Following, Memento, Insomnia. What we should do is, you say now you've said about Interstellar, I'll say where I put Interstellar, because that might work as a direct comparison. I put mine.
So we're
5th.
counting.
You're counting down from 8, but I'm just dipping in with mine.
Okay.
I put Interstellar 5th. I know you'll find out what above eventually. I've only seen it. I've only watched it in cinemas, and then there's been times where I've gone to rewatch it, but it is quite a slog before it really gets going. I don't think it's as well paced as all of some of his stuff is, and I don't think the cast is quite as good. Matthew McConaughey was good in it, but it didn't really feel like a Christopher Nolan cast.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Where he's often, he'll go for people who aren't quite as recognised, or he'll put someone in a completely different spin on things, which didn't really. And it's not Matthew McConaughey's fault. I really like it felt like an homage to 2001, which feels even stronger now in retrospect. A lot of it feels, maybe it's the border between homage and taking very direct inspiration. Pastiche. It does feel, it's not quite as revolutionary as that. However, the special effects are unbelievable. That's what stood out to me at the time. Unbelievable.
To clarify, I do really love a lot of what happens in the film, especially for me the whole section with Matt Damon on that planet is brilliant.
The fact that was kept
is amazing.
So secret, his casting, and then that just came completely out of nowhere, was great.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's not many directors would pull something off like that, but Nolan did. The only other thing worth mentioning is that I really like what he does with time, in the sense they go to a planet and their hour is a different length. That was really cleverly done. And I wish they could have explored that a bit more, maybe. I get why they had to do it to age up the characters.
Yeah.
But as a sheer concept, it's the kind of thing that hasn't really been done before in sci-fi. And if they were,
I
think people will now, based on that, because it's a really innovative way of doing time travel. Not time travel, space travel. But no, that's my number 5.
Number 8 for me is Batman Begins.
Ooh. Okay.
Batman Begins, I think I've seen it twice. It's just not... thing is, it's Nolan, so it is a very good film.
Yeah.
But in comparison, for me, to the other films, it doesn't quite stack up. And
Really?
I'm not gonna lie, I haven't seen it in quite a while, so I can't really talk about all the details.
Yeah.
But for me, it's not as memorable as the majority of his other films. But I have a feeling you might disagree. Where have you put Batman Begins?
I think you could probably guess my top 3 off the bat.
Fuck off.
Batman Begins is number 2.
That's your top 3. Batman Begins is number 2.
Batman Begins is number 2.
What?
Well, first of all, obviously, I go in with the preconceived loving Batman.
Okay.
Then if you take that as it's 15 years old and that could still come out now and be incredible.
Yeah.
It came out in an era where we'd had 2 Spider-Men, 2 X-Men, and a few Blades.
See, I think that is the problem. But not the problem.
Yeah.
So the difference between me and you.
Yeah.
Is that for you?
That's a genre.
It was a hugely original take on the superhero genre.
No. Yes. Sorry.
But then for me, it was just a bit of a grimmer superhero film.
Yeah.
Compared to others.
Without that, there wouldn't be half the stuff that's coming out now.
Yeah, I think I do agree.
I just think the casting's inspired. A lot of the compliments I'll have for that similar to the compliments for the other Batman films because so much of it's shared. And I do think it deserves number 2 as better than The Dark Knight Rises. I'll spoil that. But I'm sure nobody's surprised. Just I think it's more concise. It feels grittier. And I think this was still at the point where he was finding his feet as a director. And to give this guy who just come off Memento and stuff, Batman, was a big, bold move. And he really shook things up.
Yeah.
So that's my number 2.
Number 2, wow.
Number 2.
So we've got a number 8 and a number 2 on the same film.
That is crazy.
Fascinating. Well, 7 for me, and to be honest, 7 and 8 for me were... I sort of did fiddle around with where I've put these 2.
Yeah.
But I remember sort of being... I did see number 7 at the cinema. I didn't see number 8 at the cinema. But number 7, it did sort of rock my socks when I saw it. I think looking back at it, it is a bit silly at times. It is a bit far-fetched. But number 7 for me is The Dark Knight Rises. So I've actually put 2 of your top 3
mirror image
near the bottom.
Okay.
But I think Dark Knight Rises does a lot really well. The whole opening sequence, obviously, is incredible.
Yeah. It does feel quite bloated.
Yeah, I do agree. It is bloated. It is a bit silly. But there's a real tangible sense of, oh shit.
Yeah.
In the film.
It does feel quite triumphant.
Bane is very ominous. The twist sort of worked, I think.
Yeah, kind of.
But Marion Cotillard's death, it's very silly.
Yeah.
But I do think I had more fun with Dark Knight Rises than Batman Begins, and I think that's why I've put it above it.
It is a more bubbly film.
I could interchange the 2.
Yeah.
So don't read into the fact I've put Dark Knight Rises above Batman Begins.
Well, as I said a minute ago, that's 3rd for me.
Right.
When I rewatched them all, this was the one I think I've seen the least.
Okay.
And it is good, but I think you can tell that Christopher Nolan's plans, this isn't what he initially had planned. Heath Ledger's Joker would have been in the 3rd. I think
we would have all liked to have seen Heath Ledger return.
Yeah.
Alas.
We'll obviously never know how that could have gone. And he did, considering his whole plans for the film were thrown wildly off by that
Yeah, well
awful
then,
event.
yeah. In that case, he has done a fantastic
He
job.
has, and it does. It again. I feel like a lot of his films there's momentum as you go through time of him getting bigger budgets, being able to do more bombastic stuff, more practical stuff, more sprawling plots. And although this does feel more sprawling and stuff, it also, I think it's the messiest of those three.
Yeah, I
It's
wouldn't
quite
argue with that.
bloated.
I wouldn't argue with that.
And I think that's a problem with quite a few of his films. The final third can be a bit of an onslaught, which sometimes is nice because it's immersive. And the first time I saw it, I was completely blown away by it. But in hindsight, 8 years on, it's not quite as good as the other two for me. But again, that is probably my favourite trilogy.
Well, I am not gonna lie. The more you've talked, the more I think I should have put Batman Begins above Dark Knight.
Have a rewatch,
but it doesn't matter.
No, we move. Right, what's your number 5? Is it now?
6 for me.
6. Yeah. Sorry.
So I think I already know where this one is going.
Yeah. No.
6 for me is the Prestige.
Ah, okay. I thought you were about to say The Dark
Wait, what?
Knight. When you said, I think I know where this one is going, I thought you were going to say The Dark Knight.
Oh no! Come on, man. I'm not a dick.
Okay. Why
No.
number 6?
Why number 6? I think it's Christopher. I think we're now, for me, the 3 films, 7, 8, 9, Dark Knight Rises, Batman Begins, and Interstellar. For me, they're not really Nolan working at his best. And I think The Prestige isn't Nolan working at his best, but we're sort of creeping into what makes Nolan so good.
Yeah.
And there's so much intrigue for me. There's so much fascination with The Prestige, and a lot of film theorists have sort of said about the sort of parallels between, illusionist magic, which is what the film is about, and movie magic.
Okay.
And it's about sort of you weren't looking in the right place for the tricks or whatever.
Yeah.
And I think the whole premise of that is brilliant. Shock horror, Christian Bale's fantastic. Hugh Jackman's very charismatic.
Yeah.
Michael Caine is in it.
He is indeed, as always.
It's a Nolan film. Michael Caine is in it. He's Michael Caine.
Yeah.
Very good. I think I really like The Prestige. I've watched it more than once. I think twice. Yeah. And I really liked it.
Okay.
So I put it 6.
I put it 8th.
You put it 8 out of 8. Okay.
I don't think
why is that?
it's not bad. It just doesn't. There's nothing about that film.
I think you should give it a rewatch. I genuinely believe that.
I just don't. There's nothing about it that makes me want to go back and rewatch it. It was. Maybe it's the time.
Not
period
even
I don't
the
really
song it
care about.
ends on.
Like, what song did it end on?
Tom York song. Tom York.
Oh
The self-fulfilling prophecy
no.
of endless possibility.
I think it's one of those films that's slightly overpraised. Maybe it's just I don't know. It just.
I think it's a really interesting look at obsession. The sort of the obsession with being the best. One-upmanship, absolutely.
I will give it a rewatch because it's been a fair few years.
Yeah, I think you should. 5th, for me, is Tenet.
Really?
Yeah, I think as a film, I was blown away by Tenet.
Yeah.
In many of the scenes, really fantastic.
Okay, I put it 6.
I mean, I don't really. We're a bit pressed for time, so I don't really want to go.
Yeah,
we've talked
about Tenet.
We've talked about Tenet. So where do you put it?
I put it 6th. There's not really much else. We've
Okay.
spoken about it, so yeah. That's Tenet.
Pretty similar then.
Yeah.
4 for me is the film you haven't seen, Memento.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, I haven't seen this. I saw it quite a few years ago now, and I would actually quite like to watch it again.
Yeah.
But this film is amazing. It's so clever and unique.
Yeah.
And by the end, but at the start, what you think you're seeing is so different to what you finally realise what you've been watching by the end. And I like I said, I saw it quite a while ago, so I can't go into huge plot details. But I think the film is so clever,
Yeah.
and it really. I imagine it's part of the reason Christopher Nolan even got the Batman job, because
Must be.
producers saw that, this guy is tuned into not only filmmaking but the process of filmmaking and the whole the way it's, because I presume it's done it's done backwards basically.
Yeah.
With little sections that are done forward in time.
Okay.
So in many ways it's kind of Tenet, but
different.
But Tenet's like far more literally going back in time. But I think that's really clever. It was, and it played on the ideas of film, because you are very much in the role. You feel like the character.
Yeah.
Because he has Guy Pearce's character has short-term memory. So what you see at the start of the film is what he believes, because that's what he's seen, because he has short-term memory. And then as the film goes on, you find out that not everything he believed at the start is true or whatever. And it's so clever. I'm surprised you haven't seen it.
I've got it on DVD. I've had it for years. I've just never watched it.
Sorry, you've got it on DVD and you haven't seen it.
Yeah,
Embarrassing.
I think I might have left it at home though. So
right, we'll dive into number 3. Do you want to know what I put at number 3?
What about my number 4?
Of course.
In
my head, you didn't have Memento, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, it's very obvious. Inception was my number 4. Again, it's not something I've ever gone. I wouldn't say I love Inception, but it is quite clever.
Wait. You've not gone back to Inception?
No. I probably watched it 5 or 6 years ago, and I've never really felt any desire
I'm
to.
speechless.
I don't know why. But again, I'm looking at this, and the only ones I do rewatch are the Batman ones. Hence why they're
Neek.
my top 3. Oh, I'm not a neek.
You are, I swear.
I'll leave Inception mostly because I haven't got that much to say other than it was good and it was different and the visuals were quite nice. But again, it's not the kind of thing I've gone back to. But it is a good film.
I don't trust your list at all, to be honest. 2 Batman films at the top.
There is a slight
Inception
bias.
at 4. Inception at 4, and you've only seen it once.
Yes, this is all facts.
Right. Well, for me, 3 was Dark Knight.
Oh my god.
So I'm just going to leave. Why is Dark Knight so good? Go on.
Okay, Dark Knight's my number 1. Obviously, we talked about it a few weeks ago. I probably won't speak as well now as I did then. But everything about that film is... There is no film is perfect. Nothing is perfect. But aside from a little tweak in that third act, which I still think is Christopher Nolan's big downfall in a lot of his stuff, the third act just goes to shit a bit. It doesn't go to shit in this. It's just a little bit bloated, which is in service of the plot. I just think it's absolutely flawless. There's no better superhero film out there. The action's brilliant. The way it builds and the momentum it has going, the way everything stacks and how deep that plot is, how quippy it is, how sharp the script is, and how tense some of those scenes are. The Joker, Heath Ledger, is phenomenal. There's a reason, I said it last time, there's a reason that performance is so adored, because it's unreal. And as I said at the time, I don't think anything will ever top that for me, be it Batman or just generally.
Any film ever?
I don't know. I think maybe because I've liked it since I was a kid, and it's been my favourite since I was a kid, I think it'd be quite hard for something else to have the same impact.
Yeah, fair enough.
But that's what's your take on it?
My take is it's stellar. It's absolutely fantastic. Heath Ledger is so captivating, so fascinating to watch. To the extent that I think his performance is one of the main reasons it's as well regarded as it is.
I can't disagree with that.
Like, it is literally, I'd say it is probably, I mean, I haven't seen the large spectrum of films that are regarded in this light, but so that's why I'd say conservatively this is Heath Ledger's top 25 performances of all time.
Yeah.
And that's accounting for a lot of performances I haven't seen that are meant to be very good.
No, I think it's definitely up there in the annals of certainly this
absolutely.
millennium. There aren't very many, if any, that are quite as revered as that was.
But then, on top of that, as you've said, it is just such a layered film. There's so much that is so good with it.
Yeah.
I mean, I haven't seen it in a while. Sure. That's why I'm not being that specific. But it is brilliant, and I have to put it third.
Yeah.
Third and fourth for me. I haven't actually seen it in a while, but they're better than Tenet.
They are better than Tenet. Okay, what's your number 2?
Number 2 is, and this will be a big...
I know what it is, I think.
What do you think it is?
Dunkirk.
It is Dunkirk, yes.
Number 2.
Number 2 is Dunkirk. Dunkirk is... it's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know why I did that. It's really, really fucking good, Dunkirk.
It is quite different.
I watched it in the cinema.
Yeah.
And it blew me away then. I watched it again, I'll say several months ago. That's as much of a time I can put on it. And it blew me away then. It is such a good film. I think it's so clever. The use of time, like sort of...
I do really like how it does it.
Briefly touched on, is absolutely brilliant. And we sort of see the fact that you've got Tom Hardy in the air for 1 hour.
Yeah.
We've got Mark Rylance on his boat for 1 day, and then we've got
Harry Styles.
What's his name? Yeah, I'm trying to think of the main actor's name.
Theon something.
Is it Theon? Yeah, Theon and Harry Styles. We've got them for. I think it says at the start 1 week, but it can't be a week. I've actually thought about it.
Don't know.
They're not. We don't see them for a week, but the use of time and for me, one of the best parts of the film is the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Which has this sort of... My brother's a bit of a musician, so he sort of tried to explain it to me. But it's got this musical effect that sounds like it's always rising.
Okay.
Which massively increases the tension. I think that's part of why it's so good.
Yeah.
But there's so many good scenes in that. Right at the start, when you've got everyone just cowering on the beach, the tension is palpable.
It's very intense.
And it's so good. And there's a serious feeling of... You feel like, even though you sort of know... Well, you sort of know the history of what happened at Dunkirk. Yeah. You're pranging so hard. You're like, what? These people are stuck on the beach. The Germans are pushing in. They're fucked. You really get that impression, and you see that when they're trying to get people on the boat, and then we see our main character get on the boat.
The one thing I do quite like about it...
Where'd you put it?
I put it 7th. I think a big thing for me is I didn't watch it in cinemas. I only saw it for the first time last summer. I think it probably is the sort of thing you need to see in cinemas to get in on a visual level. But what I will praise it for is Nolan's so often, a lot of what he does is a bit bloated, and this couldn't be less bloated. This is so sharp and focused and concise. And I really liked how he still got his themes across without a 2.5 hour wordy script. It seems
I think
this is probably out of
one
everything.
of the shorter Nolan
I think
films.
it's I don't know, but of his recent output, it's definitely the shortest. I think
it is the shortest.
Probably the biggest departure. This and The Prestige are probably the biggest departures from his usual vein of filmmaking, which is funny because I put Dunkirk and Prestige as my bottom 2. But I do plan on rewatching Dunkirk. I might have been converted.
Shall I reveal my number 1? Although eagle-eared, listeners will know that it is Inception.
Ooh.
This is a film that I have seen, which is why I was shocked he'd only seen it once. I have seen Inception. If I was to hazard a guess, I'd probably say 7 or 8 times.
Oh, blimey.
Which I think a lot of people have seen films more than that.
Yeah, I think
And this is
Dark
one of the
Knight's
films
my most with 10.
Yeah. But Inception is, to quote Jose Mourinho, so good.
That was good.
Thank you. Inception is so original, so clever, and taps into something that every single human being on this planet experiences. The whole idea of dreams.
Yeah.
And the fact that no one sort of tapped into dreams in the same way that Christopher Nolan does in Inception. I think it's so clever. And like we sort of mentioned earlier with Tenet, it's deeply personal, this film. Leonardo DiCaprio is brilliant as Dom Cobb. And we sort of see who he is and why he is.
Yeah.
And he's brilliant. Marion Cotillard is not only brilliant, but she's also kind of creepy in a way that's really, really clever because it's obviously meant to be Leonardo DiCaprio or Dom Cobb's sort of subconscious popping up, and causing problems. But that whole film is brilliant. I could talk about Inception for much longer than I can right now.
The one thing I'll say is, because we
Where'd you put it?
I put it 4th. The one thing I will say is, for him to have just come off The Dark Knight, there's obviously a lot of expectation. To then go and do something like this completely out of the left field is
there's so many good scenes. Obviously, the biggest sort of set piece that probably will stick in people's minds is Joseph Gordon-Levitt fighting in a
that was really cool.
Twisting hotel corridor. That's fantastic. I mean, as I was saying that, I was thinking of all the other scenes that are brilliant, and there are literally too many.
I do want to rewatch that.
It's such a good film. It's such a good film. It's so clever. It's so brilliant.
Yeah.
I love it. It's Christopher Nolan at his best.
That's what he's capable.
I wish I could be more specific as to why I could.
Maybe we can review it one day.
I'd review Inception.
I'll put it down the list.
Well, I think if you've only seen it once, we should.
Yeah, I'm up for that. That's
retweet.
Going on the notes. Okay, well, there's our nice little ranking of Christopher Nolan's films.
Wait, so just to be clear, let's go. If you just rattle through your rankings.
Yes,
8th to first.
Very good point. 8th, The Prestige. 7th, Dunkirk. 6th, Tenet. 5th, Interstellar. 4th, Inception. 3rd, Dark Knight Rises. 2nd, Batman Begins. 1st, The Dark Knight.
I cannot believe I've only just realised, but you did put Interstellar higher than Dunkirk.
Yeah, I did.
Do you regret that? Have you changed your mind?
I think
Dunkirk is so much better.
I think I need to rewatch them. Both.
Yeah.
More Interstellar, because Interstellar is one I'm definitely less inclined to go and rewatch, which probably says something about that. Maybe one day we can come back to this and...
Yeah, maybe we'll do it again. We'll do like a revision. Yeah.
I'll go through yours.
Oh, right, yeah. So mine was 9 Interstellar, 8 Batman Begins, 7 The Dark Knight Rises. Actually, I have changed it. You've convinced me. I'm very easily persuaded. So it's 9 Interstellar, 8 The Dark Knight Rises, 7 Batman Begins, 6 The Prestige, 5th Tenet, 4th Memento, 3rd The Dark Knight, 2nd Dunkirk, and then 1st.
Ooh.
It is up there as one of my favourite films. Although I didn't mention it in my top 5.
No.
Or my top 10. Oh no,
no.
That didn't come out.
Director's cut, that is.
But yeah, Inception. A fantastic film, incredible film.
And Chris, let us know what you think of our rankings, buddy.
Yeah, Chris, email us, text us. My number is... Actually, no, doesn't matter.
He doesn't use a phone.
Oh, yeah, of course.
He hates phones and chairs.
Yeah, I did know that.
So he'd hate us because we're on the phone sitting in chairs. Sorry, Chris.
I'm on my laptop.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm on a phone.
I am in a chair, though.
I'll take it.
I can't argue with that.
His mortal enemy.
Yeah, I can't argue with that.
So let's run through quickly before we go. I've got a few recommendations to mention.
You got a few recommendations
As
to
ever.
mention? Yeah, okay.
First one, I watched this on Netflix the other night. It's Enola Holmes. Millie Bobby Brown playing the sister
you liked
of
that.
Sherlock
You liked
and
that,
Mycroft.
did you?
It was, for what it is, it's quite a lot of fun. She's good in it. I've never really seen Stranger Things, but she's quite good in it. And it does this fourth wall breaking. She addresses the camera. which I didn't mind, to be fair. Henry Cavill plays Sherlock and Sam Claflin plays Mycroft. Neither are in it very much, which feels potentially like a missed opportunity.
Wait, who plays Mycroft, sorry? I missed that.
Sam Claflin.
Is he older than Henry Cavill?
I don't think so. I'd be surprised if he was.
Yeah. Interesting.
Anyway, he was born in Norwich, didn't know that. Anyway, they weren't in it quite enough. I would have liked them to be in it a bit more.
Right.
Helena Bonham Carter's also in it. Again, not a huge amount, but she's good. It is hugely Millie Bobby Brown, the movie, but she carries it well. The story's interesting enough
Good.
as a detective story, and it definitely paves the way for a sequel, which I'd be interested to see. I think it does enough. It takes this property that's done in so many ways all the time and does something from a perspective that hasn't been done before. And for that, I'd say it's worth a watch. It's better than most Netflix originals that come out. Then my second, I haven't actually seen this, but I just thought I'd mention it. Onwards, the new Disney film, comes to Disney Plus this Friday, the 2nd.
Oh,
so
calm. I
as
do
you're listening
want
on
to see that. I do want to
Thursday-
see that.
Same. As you're listening this Thursday, it comes out the day after.
Okay.
I'm really looking forward to that. I wanted to see it, but I wanted to wait until it was on Disney so I didn't have to pay extra.
Okay.
And I'll be watching that this week. They're my recommendations.
They're your recommendations. Wow. I mean, if you've seen the first John Wick 2 or Chapter 2 is on Friday, Channel 5 at 10 p.m. So you can watch that. Or if again another sequel, same night. Channel 4 at 12:05 p.m. it says, but I think it means a.m.
Yeah, it must.
The Hunger Games Catching Fire is on. So if you've seen the first Hunger Games, you can watch that.
Best one in the series.
Stanley Tucci's in it, so you know
The Tooch.
the Tooch.
Another close personal friend.
Yeah, Tooch.
Yeah.
How are you? I know you're listening because you are a close personal friend of mine.
It's been a while, mate.
It's been a while. Just text me actually. You have my number. I have yours.
You know
So
to
I
do
might text
this.
you actually. That's it.
Wow. We've covered a lot of ground this week.
Yeah, sorry. I feel like I rambled on about Christopher Nolan a bit too much there.
That's passion. This was Christopher Nolan, the episode. I feel like we've definitely done
This one's for you,
justice,
Chris,
so
if you're listening.
This one's for you, mate.
If you're listening,
Send us
actually, can you
a
tell
letter.
Robert Pattinson to email, please?
Yeah, it's borderline rude from Rob at this stage.
Yeah, we're reaching
But-
out to him.
So next week, if you guys tune in next week, you'll definitely hear our thoughts on The Boss Baby.
The Boss Baby. Oh, I'll be watching that this week, I swear.
We might even delve a little bit more into Gimli's joy of being tossed. Who knows?
Yeah, we could do. So, Dr. Ginge, if
Can't
you're
rule
listening,
anything out.
we will be discussing dwarf tossing.
We will.
In fact, why don't we do a dwarf tossing section?
We could do. If Dr. Ginge, if you've got any other insights,
Yeah,
let us know.
please
we can really
comment.
flesh this out. Okay. Well, there we have it, Ollie. Another great episode.
Thank you.
Happy International Podcast
Happy
Day.
International Podcast Day. Stay safe, listeners. Stay safe, Luke
As
Hinton.
always,
Please.
stay safe, Ollie Gambling.
How's Cardiff in lockdown? I must quickly ask.
Yeah. So it's fine. It doesn't really feel that different, to be honest. I just do the same stuff.
You know,
Not that I'm breaking social distancing guidelines. So
Yeah,
make that very clear.
I wouldn't.
I'm following the rules ever so strictly, but it's not actually had that much of a bearing on my day to day. So could be worse.
Could be worse. Well,
Could
it's
be
been
worse.
lovely to chat with you. It's been a pleasure. In
You
fact.
too, my
Thanks
friend.
everyone listening.
Thank you,
all
everyone.
30 of you.
We'll see you next week.
Stay-
We love you all.
Stay safe. Stay safe.